time. Go ahead all the way in the back.
Yeah, hi. Congratulations on your new position. EWTN Global Catholic Network. Two big concerns for pro-life Americans. The Hyde Amendment, which of course keeps taxpayer dollars, from paying for abortions, Medicaid abortions, and the Mexico City policy, which under the administration expanded to keep tax dollars from overseas paying for abortions. So what is President Biden planning on doing on 2 items right now?
Well, I think we'll have more to say on the Mexico City policy in the coming days. But I will just take the opportunity to remind all of you that he is a devout Catholic and somebody who attends church regularly. He started his day ending church with his family this morning. But I don't have anything more for you on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, as president-elect, he talked about the possibilities of using the Defense Production Act, ramp up the production of vaccines. Having looked at more data, does he still feel that's necessary? Was that included, for example, in anything that he signed today?
We'll stay tuned. We'll do this again tomorrow, and there may be more specifics to share on plans on COVID tomorrow. I expect there will be, including details on the Defense Production Act. He absolutely remains committed to invoking the Defense Production Act in order to the supply and the materials needed to get the vaccine out to Americans across the country, and remains committed to his goal of getting 100 million shots in the arms of Americans in the first 100 days. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. The president talked movingly about unity today, and I've heard from people.
Well, first, I think anybody who has covered President Biden for some time or worked for him or spent time with him knows that he is somebody who always sees the optimistic side of working with people who may disagree with him, people across the aisle. And that has long been his commitment and desire through his many decades in public service. So his own history tells you how committed he is. But, part of it is his words, which he shared today with the American public on quite a big stage. Also his actions. He has reached out to not just Democratic members of Congress, but also Republicans, not just Democratic governors, but also Republicans, not just Democratic mayors, but also Republicans. And he said today in his speech, the biggest platform most presidents have through the course of their presidency, that he will govern for all Americans. And, that, of course, has to be backed up by actions, as you conveyed, but he's going to venture to do that in every policy he pursues, every engagement he has, because he feels if we can come together, we'll be a stronger country. Go ahead.
Jen, will you say a death penalty moratorium under this administration?
The president, as you know, has stated his opposition to the death penalty in the past. That remains his view. I don't have anything more for you in terms of future actions or mechanisms, though. I'll circle back if there's more I can share with you.
On a lighter note, will he keep Donald Trump's Air Force One color scheme change?
This is such a good question. I have not had the opportunity to dig into that today, given the number of executive actions, orders, the inauguration, a few things happening. I will venture to get you on that, and maybe we can talk about it in here tomorrow.
Jen, just one quick one for you. Just follow up on Peter's question. Does President Biden believe that President Trump needs to be held accountable for the Capitol insurrection a couple of weeks ago? And does that accountability require that President Trump be barred from holding future federal office?
Well, Zeke, he has spoken very firmly and fiercely public about his views of the horrific events on January 6th. And he has also, of course, spoken with members of Congress about that, as you all know. But he is going to leave it to Congress to their constitutional duty and determine what the path forward is and what the mechanisms are going to be, the process will be, and what the timeline will be. And certainly he ran against Donald Trump because he did not think he's fit to serve in office long before the events of January 6th. He is here today because he decided to run against him, but we're focusing on moving forward. We're focusing on addressing the issues facing the American public. And as you know, that means we're focused on our COVID package. Go ahead.
If I can follow up on that a little bit, Jen, is the president being updated, first of all, on the progress of the FBI investigation? And we know the FBI is leading the investigation into the assault Capitol. Does President Biden have confidence in FBI Director Wray?
Well, Peter, as you noted, there's an ongoing investigation, which we certainly support. I know that he has received an update today on anything about the investigation, but we certainly support those ongoing, and we will, I'm sure, be receiving updates in the days ahead.
Does he have confidence in the FBI Director?
I think I have not spoken with him about specifically FBI Director Wray in recent days, Peter, but I'll circle back with you if there's more to convey. Karen.
The president did not mention the word Trump in his inaugural address today. What was the intention behind not making any direct reference to his predecessor in that speech?
Well, I think the intention was to make the speech not about any individual, elected official, any current president, former president, but make it about the American people and the moment we're facing in history right now, the struggles that millions of Americans are facing who don't have jobs, the fear people have about the health of their grandparents and their cousins and their brothers, and to make it more about the strength of the American people when they come together, and not about any individual. But as you saw in his speech, it was forward-looking. It was not meant to look back on the past. Go ahead.
How does President Biden plan to recover the United States image around the world, and what is his priority globally?
Well, his priority is first rebuilding our partnerships and alliances around the world and regaining America's seat at the global table. And you can see that is evidenced in his the Paris Climate Agreement, rejoining the World Health Organization, his plans to engage with partners and allies and work together to address many of the threats and issues around the world. But I think that is what you will see as his focus in the weeks ahead.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Zeke.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, everyone. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Thank you, Jen.
of man. So we lift our gazes not to what stands, but stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together, victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith, we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by nation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Thank you, Amanda Gorman. Now for our benediction, I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Dr. Sylvester Beeman, the pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Wilmington, Delaware, a friend of President Biden for 30 years.